As I sit down at my desk, scribbling down a brainstorm for my power assignment, the classical music plays in the background, constructing all of these wonderful sounds to create a wonderful instrumental. While the classical music played, I thought about the essay I was writing. It was the first one I was writing since being at North Star. Can you imagine being somewhere different since transferring to a new school? Some assignments you'll receive will be challenging, but you'll find a way to overcome it. Like the time when I couldn't find a way to best make my point come across when finding a way to best describe the book in a situation. So I began to sit in my chair and brainstorm, being that it was the only thing I could do in the moment. The correct word finally popped into my mind and light bulbs went off. The word that fulfilled my situation that was being described was deteriorate. That's the word, I thought. The breakthrough felt amazing because now I would be able to go back to writing my intro for my power assignment. Do you know how it feels when you have found the solution to your problem? This feeling of empowerment begins to shape you because you begin to advance with the knowledge that the teacher reviewed with you and teach you over the course of the year. This obstacle was a key moment in my 5th grade year and how much I have changed in my 6th grade year. The concept of change is relevant to all of the aspects of my 6th grade year to consist of all of the subjects including math, history, science, literature, and art. To represent how much we have changed for the math portion of my FPT this year, we were given 200 points to ration out how much we have changed. At the time of carefully reflecting, I gave 49% of my points to academic success, 6% of my points to maturity, 26% of my points to leadership, 13.5% of my points to academic grit, and 5.5% of my points to integrity. Now I would like to discuss the reasoning for my decisions. My greatest change in all of the categories was academic success, which came out to 49%. The first reason for why academic success was the greatest improvement was because I became more engaged into class. For example, while I'm in history class, I asked Mr. Ballas so many questions that he makes me write them down on Post-its. At one time, the Post-its ran out and I needed a new pad. By being this engaged into class, not only have I improved in history, but most of all of my subjects. In history, I have improved 5 points from last year. Also, I have accomplished my goal of getting high honors in the 2nd quarter. To get to this position, I always review my notes and reflected on how to become better and advance in everything that I know. Finally, my score in science has remained about the same average throughout the course of the year. This shows that I have improved 49% in academic success. The category that I have improved the least in is integrity at 5.5%. My reasoning for the reason why I have improved the integrity at 5.5% is because at the beginning of the year, I was already well trusted by all my teachers in 5th grade, so I have still maintained this high reputation in the 6th grade, and teachers are able to let me run errands for them without being worried if I would do something wrong or talk to people in the hallway. In addition to this, I help out my peers without expecting anything in return. For instance, when my peer Mecca was struggling on how to use the protractor in math class, I set aside from my work to help her out and explain what she had to do since she was absent. Without expecting anything in return, I continued to help her throughout the course of math class. Finally, I do the right thing when no one is around. If a teacher leaves the room, I will continue to focus on my work instead of using it as an opportunity to fool around and chat with my friends. For next year, I will continue to grow stronger relationships with my teachers than I already have. To conclude, as you can clearly see from my circle graph, the degrees of each section is calculated. I found this by finding the percentage and dividing each number by 2. Because 200 divided by 2 equals 100 and a percent is out of 100. Next, I had to change each percent to a decimal and multiply it by 360 to find the degrees of an angle, because 360 makes up a full circle. To conclude, the circle graph represents how much I have changed in the categories of academic success, academic grade, leadership, maturity, and integrity. For the math portion of my FPT, I will focus on the main cause of why civilizations fall. Civilizations fall because of having a weak military, economic troubles, or weak leaders. The primary reason why civilizations fall is because of weak leaders. example of a civilization that has failed because of weak leaders is Mesopotamia. The leader that has caused the fall of Mesopotamia was Nabonidus. He began to avoid civil war by going away for periods of time, leaving Babylonian people to suffer from starvation and dehydration. In addition to this, Nabonidus tried to change Babylonia's god, murder, to a god called Sin. This made him develop many enemies. Soon, his rule came to an end. When Cyrus the Great took over with his army, the people of Babylonia were relieved around 500 BC because weak Nabonidus was out of rule. Two additional civilizations that have fell for the cause of weak leaders are Egypt and Mali. To conclude, the primary reason for why civilizations crumble are because of weak leaders. In science, we wrote a children's book about a cycle. A cycle is a series of events that are repeated over and over. Cycles relate to the theme of change because, like change, cycles will change its face or how it looks. Let's look at the water cycle, for example. There are the steps of vaporization, where the water turns to water vapor, condensation, where the water vapor turns back into a liquid, and precipitation, where the water falls from clouds, and this is also known as rain. Then this cycle repeats itself over again. As you can see, there's a water cycle, but there are many more to cycles than you know. The cycle I will be discussing is cellular respiration and photosynthesis. The reason I chose cellular respiration and photosynthesis was because I wanted to challenge myself with teaching 8-year-olds about something they may not know about. Because something they wouldn't know about is that respiration is the way that animals get their energy, and photosynthesis is the chemical reaction that happens inside of plants to create glucose. Glucose is another word for sugar. Plants and trees take in the reactants of carbon dioxide, sunlight, and water to produce oxygen and sugar, while animals use the reactants of oxygen and the glucose from food to produce energy with carbon dioxide and water. Plants rely on animals to provide carbon dioxide, while animals and humans rely on plants to produce oxygen. After going through this whole process of writing a children's book, I found that the hardest part of writing this book for an 8-year-old was how to let them understand the concept of cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Because most kids would know about the moon's shape changing or that there are different seasons, but they're not going to know about the photosynthesis and how people get energy. But I overcame this challenge by thinking of simple ways to break down the topic and getting my point across. While reading this story, the reader will enjoy how I've incorporated representational pictures of information on that page. This will be another way that the reader will understand everything that is there and everything that I said. To start, the concept of change is connected to literature from describing how Maxwell Cain, the dynamic character from the young adult novel Freak the Mighty, changes his views and perspectives. In the beginning, Maxwell was a boy who doubted his abilities before meeting a boy named Kevin, who was also known as Freak because he has Mercurial syndrome. Early in the novel, Max puts himself down and compares his intelligence to Freak because people call him hurtful names, and all he could do is just believe it. Because he has no one to prevent this from happening. But this all changes after Maxwell meets Freak. To continue, at the end of the story, Maxwell is a more confident and a more independent individual. When Freak is about to pass away, he gives Maxwell an empty book and requests that he fills it with all their adventures. In the beginning, Maxwell feels like he can't do this because he feels like he can't do this because he feels like he's not smart enough. But soon he realizes what Freak's request was and begins to write, and he takes the chance to write. And over time, he continues to write and create this wonderful story. And with the motivation from Freak, he also finally believes in himself. Because with motivation, there's confidence. In conclusion, Maxwell transforms into a confident individual because of developing a strong companionship with Freak and giving Maxwell an empty book to fill it with all the adventures that he had. And in our class, we made 2 self-portraits of how we are currently and how we will be in the future. In addition, we had to create 2 backgrounds. For my Claryn Troup portrait, I chose New York City for my background because I thought it would represent my personality now. New York City is a place that is bright and always moving, and I'm an intelligent person who is constantly working to become stronger and advance with the things I already know. And for my future portrait, I decided that London would be my background. In my mind, I felt that London is a unique place that has new discoveries that should be explored. So to represent where I wanted to travel in the future, I chose London. My favorite part of my future portrait is the background with the British flag. This is my favorite part because it clearly symbolizes where I want to be in the future and where I want to travel. And I enjoy how I made the flag out of using white printing paper and red materials to incorporate the lines. In my current portrait, I enjoy the part where it seems like I'm looking out of the window because it shows a unique point of view that is different from other people's. Even though my portrait is successful, I feel that my portrait had the flaw of not coming out the way I wanted it to. I felt that I could have drawn and pasted people in the background, and I also could have used brighter colors to represent my personality better. Something I could do now that I didn't have the ability to do before is have the theme in collaging. Before, I used to just paste things down and call it a collage, but now I have the ability to create collages that have a specific theme and that will challenge me to think more. And these challenges will push me to become better in the future, to think more critically about the steps that I take. To conclude, even though my drawing has its flaws, it is where I am now and where I want to be in the future. As you can clearly see, all the aspects from all of my subjects are connected to change. Improvement will be strongly connected to my future as a high school student. As I plan out my future, I see myself on the campus of New York Academy, sitting on a black bench on a sunny day, nervous to open up the envelope that has my SAT scores in it. My fingers nervously tremble, but confidently take out the paper with my eyes scrolling to the bottom. As a large smile grows on my face from the impressive test scores, I will think to myself, everything I have done over the years has paid off, and I will continue to do this in the future to still be successful. Only through consistently working hard on tests and doing all my work to achieve my goals will allow me success, just like in the 6th grade. To be a goal-achieving person that I am and will continue being, I will need to think through all of the decisions and aspects of my work. Being at the top will grant you to success.
I was initially concerned that you chose integrity as the lowest area of academic change, but considering your explanation, it made sense. So that was really kind of, thank you for such an excellent presentation.
One piece of feedback I would take into consideration is that when you're putting the presentation together that asks you to link a bunch of different subjects, make sure that your transitions are fluid. You said like to begin in the middle, to transition into literature, and you want to make sure that you're piecing everything together so that it's fluid. I think your artwork is really beautiful.
Yes. And the other thing that I did want to say, the fact that you're still looking to improve is a credit to you as a student, because most of your peers would not believe that you're still thinking of ways to improve Claryn Troup. Most of your peers think you've arrived and that everything is easy for you and that everything is perfect. And the fact that you are still looking for ways to improve and to get better means that you're on the right track. And it would probably do well that you let them know that, you know what, I still need to improve, I still need to be better at some things, because most of your peers would love to be where you are, and they don't understand the hard work that it takes to do what you do, and they think it's easy. And you should, as often as you can, remind them that it took time to put this together, and to draw it, and to color it in, and shade it. It took time to put these pieces together and to say, you know what, it's still not what I want it to be. Because your peers think that they think all of this is easy. should let them know, no, I have to work hard. And getting straight A's is not something easy. So that's the message.
And I just think it's great to hear you confidently say, if I keep doing what I've been doing these past 2 years, I'm gonna sit, down on that bench in my school, open up my college acceptance letter, open up my SAT scores, and they're gonna be a 1600. They're gonna be exactly what I want. And there's no doubt in my mind when it comes to that point, if you have any choices for the future, you are gonna have all the choices that you want. The option's gonna be yours if you continue to stay on this strong path of your own.
So, Mr. Masaka, a few seconds.